Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the new style boom bap that The Alchemist made popular and producers like Hit Boy. So let's hop straight into it. You guys will get all the project files for free. Let me show you guys the first and most important technique is to understand the SNH mode on Serum 2. So Serum 2, you can now go to where it says drop down, go to multi-sample, go to click here, go to factory. We're going to go to keys and then baby grand piano, or you guys could use pretty much the upright piano has a nicer, more dark tone. Okay, so what we're gonna do is play a minor chord, which is 037 in chord code talk. And then we're gonna play the suspended second chord right after it. Let's go to like 82 BPM. I found that 70 is also a nice range, so 74, 77. Let's do 74, nice and slow. Now usually it's 84, but 84, 82, 77, 74 are good numbers to start with. So first let's get this piano laid down with Serum 2. So again, minor chord and then a suspended second chord. I'll show you guys the notes in a second. Let's just lay this chord down. 1, 2. We're gonna play the same chord all the way through. Play it a little bit different each time. You don't have to be too exotic here. Let's play it one more time. Okay, now we can change up that last note. Maybe I'll do E instead of F. Okay, so here are the notes. It's A, C, E, which is our chord, and then we're playing the 2 octaves below in the bass, so that it has a nice full sound. All right, so there we go. So now we're playing these octaves in the bass. Now, if you guys didn't know, Serum 2 has a new multi-sample mode, so you could actually drag samples into Serum and load up Serum sample banks and different things. So I'm making one right now. It's going to be called Helios, and I'm just starting and it already sounds crazy. Okay, so we're going to drop that last note to E because that's the 5th of A. And a suspended chord in this case is going to be 027 in chord code talk. If you don't know what chord codes are, go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory, and I'll give you guys a chord code chart for free. Here's the minor chord 037, and then the second chord here is 027. And that's a suspended second chord. So that's why you get that dark tone. Now, we're not done though. Let's go back to Serum and let's go to where it says LFO, drop down. Let's go to SNH. Okay, so this creates like a pulse wave movement, but it's random. Let's drag it over to the fine tune pitch and then pull the range in. This is what gives it that like modern retro sound. We're not using RC20. Let me see why this triggered twice. Let's go back. So I'll exaggerate the effect so you guys can hear it. But listen to the tuning. Let's pull this range in and let's make this a little bit either faster or slower. So the more the more range you have, the more detune the piano will sound. This is just with the piano. Notice we didn't even get to the sample yet. Let me pull this down in range, just a little too far in range. Now we're gonna add our own synthesizer. You don't need to, have a specific preset here, but I made some presets and I'm still making the presets. So this is kind of like a work in progress here, but we have so many in here. Let's go to Conductor Pad. So I made this because it reminded me of how Conductor just took boom bap to a different level. That's an arpeggio, so let's use something simple. We're gonna play the same chords, just on a different sound here. Let's go back to song mode. Let's change the snap to grid to a bar. And now what I'm gonna do as I build is listen to drums. Now, Metro is known to produce to the drums first because the drums create the metronome for the beat. In this case, this drum break is at 70 BPM. Let's drag it in. This is from Tammuz. He makes really good drum breaks. Let's go to mode, stretch mode. Now what we need to do though is time stretches, so let's double click, grab the time knob. I learned this from In The Mix, grab it to the nearest bar. Now you shouldn't have to do much to your drums if it's a good drum break. If anything, you might switch out a snare position. You shouldn't have to do a ton of stuff to your drums. If it's acoustic drum performance, I mean. So let's just leave it in there. We might change stuff up, we might not. Drums are a little heavy, let's pull them back a little bit. Now let's add this other synth as like a texture synth. Let's try different pads. Okay, so let's add that in the back, just a little accent. I'm playing the same exact chords. I'm also using that pitch wheel. Ready? At the end there. I'm gonna pitch it down. Here I'm just gonna do a pitch up. There we go. So we want pitch bending things because they capture the ear. And now we're gonna do a pitch up effect. Okay, so that's more of a harmony expression layer, I call that. I teach my 4 layers for song arrangement. We don't even need a sample yet. So now let's get into more of the like soul sounds you guys might use. So there's a ton of soul sounds. The Celeste is the bell you guys hear all the time. You can find it in Keyscape. There's also Celestes in, where's it at here? Expand 2, you guys can find a Celeste. Let's just see the difference between these. We're gonna go to, some people put it under keyboard, some people put it under mallet. Let's see where they put it. So under mallet, let's go to Celeste. See how it kind of just tucks underneath, but it doesn't have that same vibe as the piano. So we have to add RC20 or something similar to create that same effect, because it's not an LFO like a sine wave. It's actually a different shape. So let's add this kind of leading tone in here. All we're doing is playing the note up to the 5th, which is A, C, E. So we're playing D, E, we're just playing up to the 5th from what's called the 4th. Let's bring it in over time, right here. And just kind of let it ring. Don't use it too much. We're gonna let the space blank, 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 blank. Then on the next turnaround right here, we're gonna use it again. We're basically just playing A minor. You can also add octaves to make it more jazz-like. Let's try the octave this time. And let's do that phrase. At the end, I added a pitch bend just to make it sound more morphing. So in my opinion, modern boom bap is all about adding effects to sounds we use every day, but then making it sound retro. So that's the modern or the new style of boom bap, is using plugins instead of samples. But we're still trying to make these samples feel old. The funniest part is that we add RC20 and all this stuff, but on a real vinyl, you're not going to hear wobble and warp and all that unless you have a really messed up vinyl. Vinyl really just adds, like, it just changes up the EQ curve, if anything, and it adds noise. But that's neither here nor there. Let's add some wobble in here. And let's listen to the Celeste bell. Keyboard, technically. All right, so now we're just thinking of things to add texture. Let's add some more sounds from my new Helios pack. Again, I'm only on bass sounds right now, but they're still applicable to boom bap and different things. Here, let's try some more sounds. And also, you guys can try different arpeggios. Let's add an arpeggio in here. Or another technique is to go to where it says voicing mono legato and hold your sustain pedal. Kind of slide up and down to create these really unique bends like that. So let's add that, and then we'll add some delay. Let's record that in. So you have to know where you're going to end the note. I want to end on B. Okay, so now we're going to add some delay to that. We can do it inside the plugin here. Let's just go to effects, add delay, and then just add a long feedback tail. and just kind of let it ride. And then we can bring that in over here. Now for the drums, these are dry drums. So let's process these a little bit to have a little more impact. Let's open up, trying to debate. Let's do Genome because I want to show you guys what I would actually try. So Genome loads up what are called NAM profiles, NAM profiles. And basically you have to buy these off of companies. So Genome, you could sign up for free using different emails. Click here, go to where it says amplifier, go to codecs, and then we're going to load up what's called the NAM profile. These are profiles that are modeled after analog gear. Basically, we're going to switch this to stereo. This is what makes Genome important, this one button here. Okay, and then we're going to load up what are called NAM profiles. You guys can find these online. I like to shop with Analog X. They have the best technical sound for like creative sound. I like past to future reverbs. For now, we're going to use Analog X, and then we're going to use his new Analog for Life is another YouTube creator. And we're gonna use his pack here that I bought. We're gonna push the drums into this plugin so that we get them to crunch. Let me turn it on first. So this is analogous to Dre just slamming it through a console. I believe this is the SSL 4000 if I'm not mistaken. See how the drums just have that extra. Here's before. Now I'm gonna turn the volume down to match. So we could switch it out for different types here. Let's go to the pre-unity, the preamp. We have the line, and then we have what's called pushed, meaning like super aggressive. You can really hear this. It sounds like stadium drums. Now, that's a little heavy for me, so let's pull it back. So if you want, your acoustic drums to hit a little bit more, look into NAM profiles. Let me go a little more subtle. Let's do the preamp. Now another thing about drums, to make them sound dated, you could add a tape machine emulation. My favorite is called the Ampex ATR 102. Long story short, we're going to change the tape speed to 3.75. This shaves off some of that high end, makes it a little more lo-fi. You could also add the wow parameter here, which is like a pitch wobble effect. You can't hear it really as much on drums, but it's very subtle. And then you can change the tape's type here. The goal is not to saturate the sound with tape, it's more so to shave off some of the high end. You could also do it with an EQ. You don't need this plugin. So here's before. Listen to the hi-hat. Here's after. All right, so my computer is like going crazy for some reason. Pull that up. Okay, so now we can just add like background sounds. Let's add some guitar in here. Let's add a Stratocaster, and we can add more synths, but you got to think back in the day during those funk records. And I have a new soul course as well, how to make soul beats. So on soul records, they didn't have a bunch of synthesizers back then. That's why music sounded way different. It's because it was organic instrumentation. So we want to think the same way. Let's use an electric guitar here, and let's run it through. I'm trying to debate if we even need it on this one. All right, so the pitch range is not expressing all the way, so let's go to the settings, change this to 12. That should give you the default. Now we just want to create a little riff. Add some rhythm in here. Now I'm recording to a delay, so this may not be on beat. we're gonna send this to effects. All right, so just a little guitar stuff to make it sound like a real player played. Now I'm gonna show you a couple things. I'm gonna move a little bit quicker here. Let's add some doubling. So basically it adds a stereo delay. We're gonna run this through Guitar Rig 7. And this may not need a wah pedal, but let's try adding a wah pedal here. And we wanna modulate this. So let's see what it sounds like first before we commit to this. Yeah, we do need some kind of vibe. So let's move this pedal here. Let's go to the drop down, go to browse parameter. It should show it in the browser here. Right click, link to controller, and then move some kind of automating thing on your keyboard. So for me, I'm moving a fader, and basically I can program that knob with the fader. So let's go back and record this automation. To record automation, you right click and make sure these are turned on. So now the guitar feels more organic. You could also add more delay on the guitar. The main thing is that delay, that stereo delay. Let's just turn the guitar down a little bit. So now it feels like a real band played this. So now we can just add more reverb if we want. Let me show you guys. Now, because the drums are, how do I explain this? We're gonna have to create what's called a frequency splitter to target the snare, because this is all one, what do you call it? One audio file. So let's go to a frequency splitter. And basically we're gonna take this frequency splitter, target the snare. We have to move these inputs here. And basically I'm gonna turn off the lows so I could hear. My only goal here is to listen to where is that snare located. Let's move these bands. So the snare is somewhere around here. We don't want the hi-hat. So this range is pretty good, pretty snare focused. We're gonna send this to an output. So what we need to do is find our drum track. We need to find an empty channel, right click and side chain to this track. And then for the mid, we're gonna right click and select that channel here. So basically it's sending the middle frequencies out to this thing. And then we're gonna add reverb on this channel, which is gonna be adding the snare through reverb. Now, basically we need to create another channel for reverb. I don't want to get into the weeds about why we use aux reverb, but the reason I'm not using direct reverb is because it might be too heavy. And let's load up what's called Valhalla Vintage Verb, or any reverb you guys like. We're going to cut the lows, and we're going to click on the snare and left click to send it to the reverb. So now the snare is separated from the drum channel for the most part. Let's turn these sounds back on. So now the snare hits over here. This is what this channel hears. So there is a part kick in there, but that's fine. Natural drums have bleed when you record them. And then we're gonna send this to the reverb. And we don't want a long reverb, so let's try to pull up, instead of a concert hall, let's use a plate reverb instead. Even that's kind of long, so let's pull the decay back a little bit. Okay, so this adds a little dimension to the drum. Also too, there's a plugin called, man, I always mix these up. The Roland, is it RE? No, it's called the EP34. Okay, this is a delay plugin. And basically it adds like a little stutter delay to your drums. I forget what preset people use, but let's just arrow through presets here. Let's just hear what it sounds like first. So here goes. Tut, 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 tut. Here's one. Just got to pull back the volume. Okay, so it's like. it adds these like stutters in there. Okay, so our drums are hitting a little sharp. Pull our drums back a little bit. Also too, I meant to mute the mid signal so it's not doubling. So basically we have to turn off the mid signal so that it's sent out. There we go. So now we shouldn't hear the snare. Should be kind of gappy on that first one. There we go. So now we're not doubling the volume of the snare. Now if you want to get fancy, you could add textures in here. Let me see if I can find a texture for you guys. We may not need it for this vibe though. Just looking for like a vinyl noise. We might, again, not even need these. And you can add some. More of the Alchemist would do this. I haven't heard much Griselda with scratches in it. But you guys could try some of these. I like this one because it's slow. Let's just turn the volume down. So I'll probably cut this in half. You know, this is just a creative decision. Slice this in half, something like this. Hit shift, do a vertical slice. All right, so we need a texture from like a vinyl. I would naturally do one. We could record one in actually. It might be easier. So let me run my record player here and just record in some vinyl scratches. Or like not scratches, but just noise. All right, so you guys hear that buzz? Let's record in some stuff. Funny enough, I wish you guys could see how dusty that vinyl actually is. It's super dusty. I need to wipe it off because I didn't put the lid on it. So that's an actual dusty vinyl for you guys. All right, so we need to route this to 124 so it gets that same processing. Now you guys can't see the waveform because it's so quiet. Here's what I'll do. I'll take off these EQs. We'll just boost the gain here. So this is what it looks like. It's just static. So that's like a background texture. So I was kind of leave that in the back for you guys. All right, so that's pretty much it. Oh, we need a bass line. How to forget the bass line? Let me show you guys. And now I do have this in my Soul course, but I'll put you guys on since you guys watch this video to this length. It's in Trillion, and it's called True Old School, I think. Let me see what the name is. It is called Trilogy Old School Bass. This bass is perfect. I referenced the real Soul record, and this is a perfect bass. It sounds just like it. So I'm just going to play fifths, tonics, octaves, just kind of noodling around until we get a good take on the bass. Now, there is a delay, so I got to figure out what is causing this delay. I have no idea. I don't know what's eating up 7 gigs of space. We didn't load much. I don't know. Maybe it's just the size of that. Let's turn this off. So I turned those 2 plugins off just so I could play in real time. Let's see what kind of baseline we get. I played kind of sloppy in the beginning, but we're gonna leave it in. Now, normally I would add a compressor. Let's see if we could add a compressor here. Let's add my favorite compressor for this vibe would be the Alicia Impressor. As it's just a nice compressor sound. We're gonna add a fast attack. It's kind of keeping that bass at bay. That bass. If you want more buzz, pull your release down. So I'm sterilizing the vinyl just so it has more like sloppy timing. Now we could add RC20 to the bass to make it fit. Let's find that RC20 that we already had on channel 5. We're gonna run it through there. So we're gonna just send it directly to 5. Not the best way to route stuff, but just to save computer resources. What we could also do is make it less full. So let's add the EQ mode and cut out the lows, the super lows. Let's add some more just noodly stuff around. All right, now the last thing we could do is just add some dominant to tonic resolutions in here. Let's see if we can even, I gotta fix one of these notes. Forget which note it was. I think it was that one here. Okay, and now we have all this. We could go back into the chords. Let's make this unique. And I'm trying to think, what did okay, that was a synth that I did over here. All right, so let's go back into the piano pattern 2. Let's take off this part for now so I could hear the music. And I forgot what this sound is. Is this Celeste? Okay, that's what that is. So let's leave that in for now. And what we'll do is just see, this may or may not fit this vibe. But here we're gonna add what's called dominant to tonic resolution here. You guys can learn music theory at busyworksbeats.com/premium. You guys can join for free. So here basically we're gonna take this minor chord, and then we're gonna add the dominant, which is E dominant. And then we're just gonna drop it in. So we might not even need to actually delete anything. We might be able to add it at the end here. All right, that works. So at the end, instead of dun dun dun, I want a dun dun dun. There we go. So we didn't have to delete anything, so that worked out. So adding a chord in there to make it blend. Let's hit Control G to group these patterns here. I want it to be like dun dun dun. There we go. More bouncy. All right, let's hear this all through. Now notice I didn't mix super heavy on this one. Now I'm boosting the lows on the sides to make it feel wider. We're gonna add a little more foundation at like 60 hertz and below, 75 hertz. Let's try one thing and slow everything down to 72. Just to see if we get more of a vibe. There we go. right, so if you guys want to learn how to make beats like that, I have a new course called How to Make Soul Beats at busyworksbeats.com/premium. You guys could join for free for 14 days. Go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. That's how you make new boom bap. Shout out to The Alchemist, Hit Boy, everybody moving the needle. All right, y'all. Peace out. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.